Hi everyone, my name is Cristina Crucianu and I'm excited to be with you today talking about how to build the right products right. I'm Cristina and I'm a digital product manager at Mano Mano, and also in my free time I like to help early startup founders to define their product strategy and vision in order to build the right products that are meeting their customers' needs. So why this specific topic? Because I've had to learn it the hard way. I've been a founder myself. While still at university, I created an edtech marketplace where we were matching users, tutors and students online. And as I mentioned, I felt in some of these traps myself, and I would like to share the learnings with you. And I hope you take away to your company, or if you're thinking about starting your own company, or if you already are doing so, the main takeaways to implement them. I hope they save you time and most importantly, money. So let's move ahead on this topic and talk further about it. Let's see if I can move the screen, which we think I'm having a bit of issues. So yes, normally the topic is the fact that normally we tend to come up with ideas. Whenever faced with a problem, we come up with ideas and we devise a list of ideas, and we automatically have the bias of jumping straight away to solutions. We fall in love with our own ideas and we think they're the best that will solve the customer problem. So this is, I have to say, is not the best way or best approach, and I'll share with you why not, why ideas are not so important. So just to move ahead, is yes, the fact that you move straight away to solutions. And I think it's one of the biases most people have. It's the automatic pilot we have by default. We tend to think directly to solution, and we jump way too quick to implement them. And it has happened to me as a product manager or as a founder, as I mentioned. And I've done it myself. And yeah, I had the solution in mind. I thought, oh my God, this is going to really solve the problem to my users, and it's going to really change their lives, and it's going to bring money to the company, which is ultimately one of the KPIs we are trying to move, or trying to move the needle on. So yeah, you have the solution. You've gone through a process, maybe defining the solution, what is the best. But yeah, also if you're working at a tech company, mostly the stakeholders you work with also tend to fall into this trap of solution first, and normally push for their ideas. And sometimes we end up thinking that a solution from, I don't know, the highest paid person opinion should be the one to be developed, or just we have the personal bias that our ideas will be much better than our colleagues' ideas. So we are just juggling around with ideas and solutions, and we end up building them. And why is not this the best approach? So for instance, the most prediction is that you're excited about your own creation, your idea is going to be fantastic. And I mean, it was the case when I started my own company. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be so different from the others marketplaces. I'm going to really provide users with a new experience. I'm so different. So thinking, I don't know, like thinking about the main problems and somehow lying to myself, but not being aware that I was doing that. So we fall in this trap, and a delusional trap of thinking that our ideas are the best, and we fail to see that probably not. So This is what you think. Let's, for example, if we take a silly example, let's imagine you are trying to solve the issue of a giraffe not being able to reach food at a very higher level, and you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna just build something for the giraffes and I'm gonna help them reach food. But yeah, you probably jumped way too quickly to deliver this feature for your end customer. And once you do it, after spending 2 months working with your developers, implementing the solution, you realize that probably is not the right solution to your users. So you deliver it and you realize that the giraffes don't really climb, and you have a problem there. So your solution is ill-fitted, but it's not ill-fitted because it's not the right idea. It's not ill-fitted because you are not smart. It's ill-fitted because you haven't spent a lot of time focusing on what is the most important. And the most important here is the problem you are trying to solve. So never start with the solution. Start with the problem. As Simon Sinek's famous book says, start with why. Okay, you need to know the why, not the how. The how is not important. Of course it is, but if you don't know the why you're doing it, you are not going to know the how. So this is a specific issue that you need to focus on. And this is why many startups fail, because they're focused directly on the solution. They think that whatever a new app on the market will help them hit the jackpot, make the money they want to make, and be the first most downloaded app on the store. But if you don't really focus on the problem, do we really need more apps out there? Are we sure that an app is a solution for our users? What is the problem you are trying to solve? An app would be the how, but what is the why? What are we trying to solve? What is the problem at the core? So this is specifically the bias or the main takeaway I want you to take, or at least build some awareness around the topic, that you need to focus on the problem. And I have here this famous quote that just recently a colleague shared in a presentation this morning. And yes, if you had an hour to spend in solving a problem, you should definitely focus 95 or 55 minutes of that time on defining specifically the problem, and only 5 minutes in the solution. The problem is that I've been in meetings where we definitely spend 95% on the solution, and everyone wants to share their ideas and want their ideas to be implemented, but it's not the right way to go, because it's not a question about having our ideas implemented. No, it's not a question of ego. It's a question of delivering value. And of course, if you deliver value, you deliver also greater experiences. And in the end, probably this is gonna result into some more cash or benefits for your company or your startup. So this is, I want you to take this with you today. Focus on the problem and not on the solution. Also in your personal life, sometimes we quickly jump to do something and it's not the best way. We could have optimized the solutions. So by focusing exactly on the problem. So start with why. Maybe also you need to implement the 5 whys methodology and focus, get to the root cause of the problem you are trying to solve, which is the most important one. So let's see how we can do that. What can be the best approach for you to focus on the problem? But first step is awareness. Okay, awareness and being aware that you automatically jump to solutions, and also try to educate the people around you, because it's human and we do that, but it's important to not fall in that trap. So how we can, what is the best way to focus on the problem and how to approach it? Basically, one of the main ways to go around it uses of research and discovery. Discovery would be a very specific area in product management where we just this time we spend before delivery, before thinking about developing something and understanding better the problem, which has become quite common in the industry. So user research stays at the core of it to understand exactly your customers' needs or the market needs. So to understand if the feature you're building or the product you're building is a painkiller or a vitamin. So you normally want to solve a pain of an user because that's probably which will bring you more revenue, which will bring you more users. So you need to understand exactly what is that specific pain of our users. So the first step, what is the first step for it? Talk to customers. Spend time on doing the user research you need and talk to them. What would be the next step? Basically, build an MVP. An MVP, for those who don't know out there, it's a minimum viable product, which is basically the minimum you can build. It can be very basic. In fact, if you're not ashamed enough of your MVP, it means you spent too much time on shipping it, and you need to be ashamed of it. So it needs to be very basic, which is delivering some value to your user, or you are trying to specifically solve the problem of your users. So for instance, let's imagine you are trying to come up with a new booking system and you're trying to solve the problem of bookings. Let's think about, I don't know, hotels or hairdresser bookings or whatever type of booking. And maybe you want to use a Google form, if that's possible, to validate that this is a pain and the tools out there are not allowing it. So you just spend no money, no time, and you're trying to validate this idea. But we will get into each one of them. And finally, the idea is to get insights from your MVPs, to learn, build, and measure, or the other way around, measure to see what's wrong, learn, and build. So building a solution always comes to the end, not as at the beginning of this presentation, where we just thought about the solution, spent a lot of time on it, and we also built the solution straight away, only to find out that it was an ill-fitted solution for our users, because we didn't spend a lot of time focusing on the problem. Okay, so as I said, the first step is user research and discovery, and which means basically talk to your customers. And this is one of the books I totally recommend, is the Mom Test. I've had a chance to interview Rob on my podcast, and definitely has very good insights why it's important to talk with your customers. Okay, so how can you do so? There are many ways of knowing your users or your customers. It's basically interviews and surveys to learn more about their needs. You can use this also with focus group, bring people in, your target audience. So who is the target audience you're trying to satisfy with this new product or meet their needs? Empathy maps, build customer journeys to really understand the pain points at every part of the journey. And why not, you can also allow them to interact with some designs if you have the chance. So this is the very specific, the first step, which is very relevant, and you can do this in many ways. Even do benchmark at the market level. What is already out there? What are your competitors doing? And bring, if you have any already data, users already using your platform, your app, or whatever the project you're working in, or the functionality or feature you're working in, and bring all that information together with the user research, the surveys, the insights you have gathered throughout this process, which takes time, and you need to put time aside for it, Sometimes we don't have the time, but it's important. It's important to spend this time, because if not, all the work you'll be doing in delivery, jumping straight to solution, probably won't be worth it, because users or end customers that want to adopt it won't use it because you didn't know their needs. So that is very, very important. And bring different type of data. You can bring qualitative data and quantitative data. So basically, quantitative data tells you what, and then the qualitative data it tells you why, which is very important two topics to bear in mind. So user research should sit at the first step to understand the problem. And it takes time. It takes time and effort to do so. And of course, spending time in building the main patterns your user have, and implementing it will only come later. So how can you do this user interview? Because sometimes we also fail to do user interviews in a correct way. The important thing whenever you're doing user interviews or surveys is to have a specific research goal in mind. So maybe you're trying to say, okay, is this really a problem for my end customers? Or let's see, in this specific case, Mano's case is how our merchants feel about restocking and what processes they follow to normally do so. So as you know, Mano, it's very similar to Amazon Marketplace, and our merchants are bringing their stock to Mano in some cases. And of course, we need to know how is this process done, how are they doing it on the platform, are they using all of the functionalities, what do they missing, what they're struggling with. So basically, it's been a lot of research being around it, and a lot of time spent to understand specifically their needs, what our competitors are doing, how can we break through or innovate in this area to help our customers in this case. So have a specific research goal in mind. What are you trying to understand? And of course, focus on that specific problem you think or you want to solve. So try to also avoid, whenever you're doing interviews, try to avoid leading questions. For instance, do not ever ask, do you see this feature function? Would you pay for this product? As the writer of the mom test says, I mean, of course, if you ask your mom, would you use this product? She would say yes. Or if you ask a user straight away, they will probably say yes. But when the real times come for them to pay, I don't know, for your product, maybe they wouldn't. So avoid doing that, asking them, because they don't know, they don't see the functionality, and basically it's not relevant information. You want to understand the why, what is the problem. So so yeah, and avoid closed questions, which they won't bring you any information. You want to know how is the user feeling about it, what is the user struggling. You want qualitative information to use that, then it can help you innovate and come up with the most suited solution for that specific problem. So understanding the problem. And yeah, this is the famous quote I really like to share. If as Henry Ford said, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses, because it's on you to bring all that information together and think of an innovative solution, and come up with a new one. Your user probably don't imagine or don't have the information to think what they would need, would be great for them. Okay, so this is very important for you to be visionary, with data-driven visionary, to come up with the right solution. So fantastic. And yeah, next step on this very specific journey to understand your users' problems is an MVP. As I said, it's a minimum viable product, something you build in a very quick, scrappy way with limited resources. Basically, yeah, if I remember my past journey, yeah, we did it. We started with a WordPress. That was our MVP, and WordPress which I had paid 300 euros, if I remember well. And that helped me validate partially my idea. And why are MVPs relevant? Because they are telling you if you're heading in the right direction, which is very important, the beginning, to know if what you're thinking, your hypothesis is really a problem or not. So to validate that hypothesis, maybe it helps you pivot. Then you realize that the problem, it's a different one, because data is telling you so, or the insight you've gathered in the user's interview is telling you so. And finally, if your idea or your feature is solving a problem, do you really want to spend 2 months? Hopefully not. You want to do build or develop in a very iterative way, but do you want to spend your limited resources, time and money to build something that is not really useful, or it's not going to be used? So you don't want to waste time, and you want to focus on something that it's bringing value to your company and to your users. So MVPs, as I mentioned, can be very basic, very scrappy, and built in even a Google form can be. And if you want to build the hardware, if you're thinking about a very specific product, or even like if you're thinking about the service, you can do it yourself, or concierge services. There are many ways to do MVPs, and you just have to be creative about it and ship it as soon as possible to gather insight. And that's also, if you have the chance to build a clickable prototype, it also gives you insights about it, how your users are reacting to what you're trying to build, or to the solution you have devised. But you've spent, before getting to them, you spent a lot of time using user research and bringing all the data together to be able to devise this solution. So problem framing, it comes first. And yes, without further ado, here is what you should your MVP look like. This is not an MVP. The first drawing you see, you want to deliver value, so you start with a skateboard if you're thinking of building a bike. And so once you're building iteratively, and you're gathering insights on the way. So it's very important to deliver value in a very short term. Okay, and how can you do so? Also, many companies, I don't know if you know about this, but the design sprint method, and where you basically in a week you can also build an MVP, where you can test it. As you can see here, first you know your user, you empathize the user, you understand them, you define what the solution or the problem, you define the problem specifically, you iterate it on the solution, you prototype it, test how these prototypes, how users are reacting with it, and only and this is an iterative process. In every single step you're learning, and you're adopting all the learnings to be later implemented. So it's a very iterative process. And basically, this would be if we have to think about iteration, looks like is the final step, but it's ongoing, it's circular, it's happening at all stages. Every time you learn, you gather feedback, you implement it, and it's iterative process. And yeah, this is all from my side. I hope you've taken all the information needed, or main takeaways, which is basically awareness of our biases. Also, just when we're doing users interviews, and mainly our biases in the first place is we fall on the trap of going straight to solutions, and the people around us too. So we need to educate ourselves and the people around us if you're working for a company. And spending problem framing is the most important one. And you can do that with user research and building MVPs. Okay, this is a couple of ways you can validate ideas, features, before you spend a lot of time building them. You want to ensure that you're delivering value in very small steps your users. I'm excited to share my contact details. You can find me on LinkedIn. And I also like to share these insights on Medium. You can also find me on Medium. Feel free to subscribe to my Medium. I try to publish on an ongoing basis about these specific issues. And if you want to check out my podcast, feel free to do so. You'll find me on different platforms with growth mindset on. So excited to be with you today. I hope you find it useful, and I'm looking forward to listen to your questions and get back in contact with me if you need anything. So have a great day ahead. Thank you very much.